second start, the first attempt at doing this. I thought I would be really efficient, and I set up some of my my scenes in my little Ecamm camera, my live streaming app, and it canceled and closed off the session by accident. So my sincerest apologies for those who are wondering, what the heck's going on here? Where did Mark disappear to? Well, I am back. So thanks so much for joining me today in another live Q&A. And I just finished day 3 of the masterclass, which is, oh, I just absolutely love it. It is so much fun. There's just a great group of people that are in there. I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but wow, this is just a wonderful, wonderful little pilot project that I'm running, and the group of people that are in there is we're just like a family. It is so much fun. So I apologize for the craziness. And we've got Ralph here. He says, hello, everyone in the world. Welcome, Ralph. Good to see you here. And then we've got a bunch of people posting questions in. So hang tight. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know where you're listening from. I'm going to flip over here, and we've got Iffy. He says, let's just shrink this down just a little bit, see if we can get it to fit a little better. Okay. Okay, so there we go. Now we got them set up. So Iffy, good to see you too. It's awesome. And Ravi, great to see you. Love from Toronto. Never seen anyone so dedicated. Well, hey, I'm here. This is what I love, right? And remember, guys, I am located in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. If I wasn't in Lethbridge, I really, really doubt if I would be doing the things that I'm doing right now. Largely, I do this to build a platform, to build an awareness globally that I exist. And if I was in a large center like Toronto or Calgary, you know, where lots of immigrants are and where people traditionally look for immigration lawyers, well, maybe I wouldn't be doing the things that I am. But about 6 years ago, I stumbled upon the concept of content marketing. And I realized that I hated all of those websites online, even the ones with the big prominent immigration lawyers or consultants who, you know, they put out this fancy websites, fancy infomercials, things like that. But when you ultimately hired the firm, you never had any clue who those people actually were. And then there were other sites where there was no person's name anywhere. They were just a fancy website. You don't even know who was representing you. And I think many of you know even now that when you hire some overseas firms, you don't even talk with the consultant. In fact, the consultant's over on the other side back in Canada, and you only deal with the agents. And I even wonder if anyone actually reviews your application, or whether it's purely just these low-level people that are helping you. Well, anyways, I hated the nameless, faceless websites where people just didn't know who they were working with. So I realized, hey, I'm going to start a podcast. And I know that people will get to know me by the podcast. So back in 2014, I started that. And the Canadian Immigration Podcast is continuing on. In fact, I think you guys in the last live, I told you that I was going to do a recording, and I want to share that with you guys now. Let me just pull it up. The one that I just released, and it's awesome. So let me just pull this up, and you guys can all go to Immigration Pod. There we go. Okay, I'm going to shift over, and I'm going to show you my screen. So right here is the Canadian Immigration Podcast, and I'll just pull this down just a little bit there. And you will see here, I did an episode just February the 4th with Windmill Micro Lending, and they are awesome. And you can listen to that podcast. You can also watch it right here on the YouTube channel. And on the YouTube channel, those of you who are there, those who are watching on Facebook, head on over to the YouTube channel, and I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to click on your channel here. Okay. And you'll see that I have playlists. And one of the playlists that I have is right here. I can find it. There it is, Canadian Immigration Podcast. And so if I click on this, you will see that the episode with Windmill Micro Lending is right here, and you can listen to it right on right on the group. So let me just adjust this around here so you can watch it. And I have 2 versions of this. So this one is the actual audio, and then I actually have this one, which is a video. And so I've decided to shift my podcast, even though it's technically a podcast. I have transformed it. So if people want to watch it as a video, they can actually see me doing the live. Well, it's not a live, it's a recording of the podcast that is also posted here that you can find on Stitcher and on iTunes. And so definitely check it out. What this is, Windmill Microlending, is for immigrants, new immigrants that come to Canada and are struggling to pay the professional association fees or the registration fees to actually be registered with, if you're a nurse, with the nursing association or whatever it is. But they're designed to help you get your, get your feet underneath you. And it's a wonderful company. So do check that out. Awesome. Awesome. All right, let's jump back here to some more questions here. Gail's back from Belgium. Welcome, welcome. We've got Duran from India. Masood's in Dubai. We've got Amro's Dubai. Great to have you, Amro. Yes, yes, yes. And it's great to see you too, George. Great to have you. What a great group. We've got Casablanca. Abdi, great to have you. And Yildiz is back. Great to have you joining us, Yildiz. Yildiz is also in the master class. We've got a couple people that are coming over and joining here, which is great. Welcome, welcome. Okay, Harinder, what could be done if my file is stuck for 15 months? This. Hear that bell? Go over here to the website and and book a consultation, and we can try to sort it out, my friend. The reality is there are many, many people that are stuck in this situation. Many people. And the reason is because of the travel restrictions. So it is not unusual in any way for you to be stuck with your application for 15 months. Okay? The travel restrictions have ground everything to a halt. Ife tuning in from Toronto, welcome. Shamoon, Shamoon, yeah, welcome to have you here as well. We've got Cecilia from India. What a great group. We've got Ralph from Edmonton, Canada. It's so cold, we don't need a freezer. That is right, Ralph. You're totally right. I'm down here in Lethbridge. Let's see. It is so cold. What's the... Oh, we're sitting at minus 24 degrees right now. Minus 24. In fact, that's probably too cold for a freezer. All right. Okay, let's see what we have here. We've got Abhishek from India. Narpat says, draw today, buffering. Well, let's see. Do we have a draw today? Let's go in and let's take a peek. We're going to go right here together. And we're going to go search rounds of invitations, EE. Click on the link. Scroll down. And January the 21st, 2021. So we don't see anything yet. The last draw was 454. If I reload it. Yep, no change on the refresh. So nothing yet. Nothing yet, but we believe it is on the way. At least I think most of us believe it's going to come today. All right. Okay. So let's keep going through here. And then we've got how come. I'm not sure what how come means. We don't know if there will be another. I believe that there's probably a CEC draw this month. Yeah, I think, Musta, I think absolutely there's going to be a CEC draw this month. At least that's my belief. Okay, Mohammed says here, let's shrink him down a bit. He says, post AOR question, in-person history. I think I made a mistake. Oh, no! I made a mistake by leaving 12-day gap between two activities, as the dates can only be entered in month and year format. What should I do? Should I be worried? Mohammed, I can't tell you if you can be worried or not without actually looking at everything. But if you've already submitted your application, you have the ability to send a web form to IRCC. We flip back over here to the screen. We flip over here for all of you. In your EAPR, in your acknowledgement of receipt letter, it gives you a link to this, but it's just the IRCC web form. And in here, you can go and you can upload right here a response saying, hey, I made this mistake in my application. Or you can just say, I failed, just for further clarification, please note that this short little period of time, I was doing something else in this this period that was already covered because it was on a monthly basis that I entered the previous application, that information. But just out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to put right in here that that I'm now correcting it. So please add it to my file. Ultimately, Mohammed, I don't think this is going to be fatal for you, my friend, but it doesn't hurt to just update it. All right. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. So Nuri says, in your opinion, why people CEC inland single applicants from February, March, April are waiting, but who applied in July get their PRs from same VO? There is an infinite number of reasons because of it. Maybe the officer who's been assigned to your file is lazy and they don't work as fast as other people. Maybe your application is in the midst of some background searching where you come from a country that it's making making it very difficult for the security and background checks to be completed for that country. Depending upon lockdowns, depending upon the ability that Canada has to verify, those are all potential reasons. And when applications are stalled out, usually, unless your application has been referred for further review, and I don't know if you've actually done an access to information request to see where it's at, but generally speaking, those tend to be some of the reasons. But yeah, when we're talking under a year, 9 months is what the last discussion I had with immigration. That's kind of the range that they have for processing. So I remember a time when applications for permanent residence were taking at least 2 years. And I remember a time when there was no express entry, and applications in some countries like China, even in India, were taking 6 or 7 years. So when I get questions, about this and people getting frustrated with it taking so long, wow, it is absolutely amazing how the world has changed and the expectations of people. I feel for you, my friend. Like when you're looking at other people who are getting theirs finalized and yours isn't, especially when you're in Canada, CEC, there's a whole bunch of different reasons that are just almost impossible to tell. So hang in there, my friend, hang in there. Okay. Got someone tuning in from the Express Entry Law private Facebook group. Okay. Personal history. Oh, we already answered that one. Made the mistake. Okay. Predictions. I think it could drop below 455. Remember, 454 was the last round of invitation draw. So if we flip back here and we go to the rounds of invitations and we can just refresh it again, we'll just periodically refresh it and see if it's released today. But the last one was 454. So I think given, the time that's passed and given the fact that so many people were purged out the last time, I think that if there is another CEC draw, if they take their standard 3,500 people or 4,000, I don't think it's possible for the score for CEC not to drop below 454, which was the last draw. And in fact, it could even go below that to lower than 450. Okay. All right. Let's get a little drink here. All right. Okay. Masood says, for work permit application, I received a biometric validity confirmation letter. What stage does it usually indicate? There is no stage right now. When you're applying for a work permit, that biometric request would often come like the day after. So it would come almost instantaneously with submitting your application. Every country is different. So it is all over the map now. So there is no stage anymore. The reality is the biometrics is like the very next stage after you submit your work permit. So if you're wondering what stage, well, it's stage 1, I guess. Because you get those biometric requests before they even start processing your application. So that's pretty much, I guess that's the best way I can answer that. Okay, Naveen says, hey, Mark, do you think 467 have any chance FSW before August? I personally think that there is an extremely low chance of that happening. The only way that it could potentially drop to 467 is if they do more 5,000 draw cohorts. Because if you look at the number of people that are in the queue, and let's just flip back here and we'll take a quick look at this. And many people ask these questions. If you go here and we look at the previous rounds, and so you can see how many people are in the queue, and you said 467. So if we go down to this area here, 461, we know that at some point in time, we're going to have like 467 we'll shave off these. We don't know how many people are at the higher end or the lower end of this 461 to 470, but even if we took maybe 2,000 people, we'll say 467 to 470. Let's say we have 2,000 people. Then we have 4,000, and we've got 5,000 here. And then we have, well, maybe close to 6. So at that range right there, it would take some massive draws to cause the scores to drop down to 467. It would take, just like it was before, if we go back here, the reason that we were able to get down to 468 was because these program, you can see 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. So you can see every time we did 5,000, there was a little bit of a drop here, but even going from here to here in 2 weeks, there were basically 5,000 new people that came in that basically were flushed out again. So you can see there wasn't even a shift. And then if you do another 5,000, it took one more to drop it to 468. So to get from 468 to 467, when we've already had, the last draw was December 23rd, and we've already had 3 in between, 4 in between. Really, when you think about it, it's two separate draws. These were kind of back to back, so we can almost count those as one real time period. I think probably with this, it's, if we were to do another open, it's probably going to revert back to this level almost. So hopefully that helps you to kind of get a little bit of a picture. So I think it'd be really tough. I do right now, at least before August. Okay, let's see here. Here's a proof of funds question from Burkina. Getting more than half of my PO funds from my parents. Will that affect my application? Also, my other account is in the UK. It's my UK address that's going to be on the bank letter. I don't worry about that stuff. So you can have your parents can give you money, and make sure you get a gift deed to document that. And yeah, and as far as the banks, doesn't matter where the funds are. Make sure that you actually have a letter that is exactly in the form that immigration wants. And if you have those two things in place, your gift deed and evidence to show the transfer from your parents' account into yours, as well as good letters from the bank, you're not going to have an issue. They know that banks are registered with addresses that you may no longer be living at, so I don't worry about that. Okay, all right. Okay, and then Amro, I see you've got a question here. I'm going to leave. Amro is in my private group, and it's a big long one. And and so Amro, this one, my friend, I'm going to leave this one, and I'll answer it in the private group just because it's so big, okay? All right, Parth. In proof of funds, is it mandatory that 6 months average balance should be more than or equal to required funds? No. What they want to see is that the funds that you've been acquiring, you've been actually saving over time. That's why they want to have that 6 months. You don't have to have the full amount at the beginning of the 6 months. Hello to you, Tob. Anas, looking great as always. Thank you too. I'm doing great, Carolina. And we've got Muhammad from Dubai. Great to have you. Okay, Shinmei says, hi Mark, will an ICT letter considered as a valid job offer for PR? You need an actual letter from the company, a separate one that meets the expectations of immigration for a job offer. And when you're going through express entry, if you go to the completeness check website, it specifically gives you what that letter needs to look at. And so the letter alone to support your intercompany transfer work permit is not good enough, unless it also has the language that immigration is looking for, which is that they will employ you for at least 1 year after you become a permanent resident. And that terminology is often not in the ICT letter. And in fact, immigration specifically states that these work permit letters they're not good enough. So your company has to step up and actually do the other letter. Okay. Amro says, could you give us some examples of applicant mistakes in filing his personal history, address history, work history that can make the officer pull his hair and refuse the application? Well, anytime there's an inconsistency. So for example, if you say you're living in one location, but yet you're studying in another one and you don't indicate that it was done by correspondence. So immigration says if you are studying, you're taking a course from the UK, but you live in India. Then you put the name of the institution and you put by correspondence. If you don't do this, they'll wonder, well, how the heck can you live in India and still be studying and doing your accounting designation in the UK at the same time? So that's an example I'll give you, Amro. There are so many, it's impossible to identify all of them, but that's inconsistencies in those is exactly where the issues usually arise. Because if you have gaps, the system is designed not to let it finalize. Like, you have to fill in the gaps. Otherwise, you can't advance through the screens in your portal. Syed, hello, my friend. Good to see you. We've got Tob from Bangladesh. Great to have you. Sandeep says, hope you're doing well. Like to know is there any possibility to act as an agent from India? If so, is there any certification required? In order to represent someone, you need to be a regulated immigration consultant or a lawyer. If you're not, then it's illegal. There is education agents that don't necessarily have to abide by the same rules, but they're not helping people with their immigration applications. So if you want to represent people, you actually have to go through and become an immigration consultant or a Canadian lawyer. Okay. Gail says, it is cold in Europe too. We got down to -10, which is very unusual. Wow. Okay, restrictions. When do I think those restrictions will be lifted? Boy, personally, with the rate Canada's going here, I don't think it's going to be until the fall. And I think that's optimistic. Okay, got him. Great to see you. Why was the Oinp cutoff 466, 467? I missed it at 468. I don't know. And Kit, I don't know. Okay, Jamel says, hey, Mark, what's the future of legal assistant like me here in Calgary? Thanks and take care. That's a question I have no clue. I can't answer that. Yeah, I can't answer that. Hello, Bella Bell. Good to see you. As always, thank you, my friend. Okay, do I have to provide transcripts for my Canadian master's degree for Federal Skilled Worker Program? Yes, absolutely, because you're getting points for those for your Canadian education, and what they specifically ask is for transcripts. And only people who are submitting Canadian education does the transcript field appear in your document checklist. So absolutely, the answer to that is yes. Okay, Carolina says, would you recommend provide more documents than they required from you for EE, or just to provide the bare minimum? Well, there are circumstances where I do tell my clients that we want to produce more documents, because when I read it and I put my immigration officer hat on and I'm looking at the application, there are parts of it that are just a little bit weak. And so I want to strengthen them. I want to really convince the officer that everything is good. And so in those circumstances, I do add different documents. And I go through a lot of this in my my step-by-step course. So these are some of the things that we talk about in that. Okay, if they conduct a CEC tomorrow or the next week, would the lowest score be lower than minimum 459? I think I've answered that one already. Rakib says, hope you're fine. Finished my medical, but still don't know. Didn't get the final letter when it could be. Do you have any idea about the time? How long we have to wait? When it comes to your e-medical information sheet, and within the course, my step-by-step course, I have sample documents of everything in there. But in your e-medical information sheet, that should come almost instantaneously from the doctor. So it's the panel physician who did your medical that's supposed to provide that to you. So they're the ones that you go back. And if there's a delay, it's that doctor's fault. Mohammed says, medical's expired February the 1st and it got removed from my portal. So what should I do? I don't understand. Oh, I see. Your medical expired February the 1st, 2020. That's maybe you meant 2021, and it got removed from my portal. So what should I do? So if your medical expired, it was older than a year, then I'm just trying to think. Yeah, if your medical expired, then you have to get a new medical and re-put your profile back in. So that's why it was disqualified, because your document expired. Thanks, Debbie. Appreciate it. Says, hi, Mark, doing a great job. Okay. All right. Hey, good to see you too, Amjad. Thanks for tuning in. And I see some people are posting multiple. Please don't post multiple times. Okay. You know, Chinmay, as far as how long the CC draws will continue, I know, and many of you probably, here's something that I want to point out for you guys. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go back to the YouTube channel here. And one of the things that I'm doing now is trying to produce more content. And in the YouTube channel here, if I go back, I'm going to stop this because it's going to start to, oh good, it didn't. Okay, and let me close this. So on the YouTube channel, you will see that I did an episode just on Saturday that says Express Entry 2021, what will happen in 2021. I strongly encourage all of you guys, it's got about 4,000 views now. I strongly encourage you guys to take a look at it and follow it, because I went into detail as to what I think is going to happen for 2021. And the reality is this is not going to be, it's not going to be a great year for people that are outside of Canada. It's not. There's going to be longer delays. Canada is going to be looking more internally to the CEC candidates. And those of you who are outlanders that have applications pending, expect longer delays. Just expect it. It's going to happen. The travel restrictions are probably not going to be lifted until, you know, later in the fall, once this stupid coronavirus gets dealt with and the vaccines and, you know, things are put in place to get control over the spread, because it's as bad in Canada as it ever was. And so Canada takes it very seriously, and they're simply not going to have people traveling. And understand, if you're in the system, if you've submitted your EAPR, if you're going through the process, even if you've been issued one and it's expired, make sure that you notify always when you're getting close to your COPR expiring and you can't travel. Make sure you notify IRCC that you're still interested, and everything will be locked in. Yes, the delays suck. I understand that, but you still will not lose your opportunity of immigrating to Canada if you just hang tight, hang in there. And I know it's not easy. Everybody across the world is suffering because of it. You're not alone, but just hang in there. You are in such a better position compared to people that are just not going to get an ITA. So always, always focus on the positive aspect. And notwithstanding how hard it is, there's so much negative that we can focus on. But if you're in, just be so grateful that you're in, because so many other people are not going to be able to. All right. Cruising down. Amro says, our mentor, what kind of document should the applicant prepare to prove his legal status in his country of residence, not his home country? You actually don't have to prove that. There's nothing that you have to prove that you have legal status in your country of residence. You just indicate where you live. Simple as that. Now, if they wanted to come back and ask questions, they could. But even being illegal in another country outside of Canada doesn't preclude you from applying through Express Entry. All right. Interesting question. That's a good one, Amro. And another one of the folks that is in my my step-by-step course. And those of you who are just wondering what I'm talking about, this step-by-step course, I think most of you by now are probably aware of it, but I'm just going to show you. And I apologize here. I've got a little bit of hiccups going on. If we go back to this page right here, so this is my main website for the Canadian Immigration Institute. And I'm just going to pull this down just a wee bit so you can see it a little bit better. Right in here is where all the courses are. And you can see here, the next course will start February the 8th. So it is closed off. And when you go to see the courses and learn more, this is where this is the landing page that talks all about the course. And the difference is that unlike the traditional step-by-step guide that I used to sell, I've recreated a whole brand new one for 2021 that has all those 50 plus videos, and you can learn more about it here. And then I have a private Facebook group where individuals here, like Amro, have signed up, and you have direct access to me over the next 2 weeks in a private Facebook group where we take not only the information that I teach everybody in the courses, but I also go on live. So 9 a.m. every morning. So this morning for an hour, I was with this awesome group of the very, very first group for the step-by-step course. And it's awesome because you just totally get to know each other, and everybody's one big family. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're in the midst of it, but I'm still doing these lives for you guys. So if you're interested, and you want to be a part of the next one, then what you do is you have to come here and then click on register now. And that button will take you, hopefully, if we click on it, it will take you right here where you can leave your name and email address to reserve your spot. And then I will notify you when we do the next course. We're kind of looking at the end of March, maybe the beginning of April. So we'll see how it plays out. But all I know is this is the future. And you'll see you can't just buy the guide right now as a standalone. You have to actually purchase it and be a part of this course. And one of the things that I realized is that there were always questions that people had in addition to it. And so for $347 is what I charge, you actually get access to me. And Amro, you can tell them about your experience, whether you think it's good or not in the first 3 days that we've done our lives. Okay, let's flip down here. Kunal says, hey, Mark, is it necessary to include each and every qualification in education history? What if we missed one of them? No. Include the education in your education history, your study history that you want to claim points for, that you have an ECA. If you do want to claim other, or you want to list just to be thorough, it's totally fine. But then you're going to indicate that you do not have an ECA and an educational credential assessment, and then it won't be factored into your education history. So for my clients, we only include in there what we are actually going to provide diplomas and certificates for, transcripts, mark sheets, and the educational credential assessment, the ECA. Then any other education that we don't include there, absolutely 100% goes into the personal history section so that they have a complete picture. That is, provided that education fits within the 10 years that immigration has asked you to set forth for them. All right. Okay, this person in the Express Entry Law Private Facebook group, and you guys can see this is why I can't see you. It's just because you're in that private group. Thank you so much for the answer. Any idea what should I select in the type of inquiry in the web form? Oh, you're going to go through and, well, let's just take a peek, and maybe I can even show you here. So we'll go back here and I'll share my screen, and let's see if we can get back to the web form. So here, type of application is permanent residence. Actually, do you know what? I can't remember what. Yeah, permanent residence. I was trying to remember what type of application you'd ask me about. So permanent residence applied online, and then permanent residence express entry. And then you're going to include, obviously, your information here. And most importantly, even though it's not a mandatory field, your application number, client ID, as much information as you can give them. Okay, good question. Good question. Okay. Okay, Shiva here, and actually let's close this and we'll go back and we'll try again here. Okay, see if we can get this to fit. It's a big one. Shiva says, is a casual contract work accepted for CEC? There's no fixed number of hours per week, no fixed working hours scheduled either. The tax might be deducted. I haven't started the job yet, so I'm considering. I hate those. Shiva, don't. You need to be able to show that you have worked consistently at least 15 hours a week to claim part-time experience. If you know you're going to get at least that, then yes, you could do it, but you're only going to be claiming that work history at half time. Essentially, unless you're working 30 hours per week consistently, it's going to take you 2 years to claim the 1 year of skilled work experience. So I would seriously question that. I by far prefer full-time paid, obviously continuous work experience. Okay, Duran says, let's pull this back just a little bit. Employment reference letter from the current employer is eligible for FSW. Can I left my job just after submitting my documents and receive ITA? Sure. Duran, when you have, you can totally use the reference letter and count your eligibility. Once you get your invitation to apply, then that work history is locked in. You're not getting any more points. And then if you ultimately choose to leave, then notify IRCC through that same web form right here, exactly the fact that you're no longer working for that company. Because when you enter your work history, you will have said that this is your current employment. And unless you change that or let the IRCC know, then it's just going to continue to roll as if you're still working there. All right. Okay. Samson says, I was applied to Canada PR through experience entry program and my case status has been approved. So what is the next steps? Okay, Samson, I'll need a whole lot more information about that. I'll ring the little bell because I'm not sure at what stage you're at. I don't know if you're the profile, the EAPR. I think express entry is what you've indicated here. And it says that it's been approved. Next steps, if you're outside of Canada, the travel restrictions prevent you from traveling. Have they requested your passport? Do you have a confirmation of permanent residence? If you do, it doesn't necessarily mean you can travel. you may need to notify immigration that, hey, I can't travel. Even if this COPR expires, I don't want to lose my spot. Notify me and I will keep you apprised. Let me know when I can travel. So that's how you lock it in. Okay. All right. And if some of you are asking, hey, is there any chance that I can qualify? Is there, what's my eligibility? I'll ring this bell and I'll flip over here to the website and I'll tell you to go over here and book a consultation with my law firm where we can actually assess truly whether or not you have a chance of immigrating to Canada. So head over there and check that out. And anyone who's asking questions about eligibility, I'm going to skip past those because keep your questions really specific in a way that will, well, I shouldn't say very specific, keep them general so that they will be a benefit to everyone. And that's how I pick whether or not I'm going to answer yours. Okay. Yep. Let's see here. Celine says, hey, everyone, here from the Philippines. Celine, great to have you here. And those who are actually in the step-by-step, the Express Entry step-by-step course, the masterclass, I call it, just give people a shout out. Let them know. I know those of you who have stayed on and are now watching this one. It's awesome to have you here, and I appreciate you guys being here. Let people know, because I think sometimes people don't understand how many of you actually purchased the course. And let them know whether it's useful or not. Okay. Mohammed says, thanks for the answer. Any idea what should I select in? Okay, I already got that one. You guys, stop asking the same question twice. Okay. Syed says, do I have to report all the credit cards I have? For my Walmart MasterCard, a recent statement with no stamps is the best I can get and provide to IRCC. Yes, with credit cards. And with credit cards, I just provide a copy of the most recent statement. That's it. That's all you're going to get back, and that's sufficient. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, Devi says, if one is claiming points for an LMIA, positive job offer, then does that job has to be valid until the AOR? It has to be valid until COPR. If job offer situation changes after AOR, then the score can it be recalculated? I think is what it says. Whenever you have a job offer, understand the essence of the job offer is that you have a job available when you become a permanent resident. In fact, the letter says by the employer that this job offer will be available and we will basically offer this position for 1 year at least after the person becomes a permanent resident. So if you no longer have that job, absolutely, you can lose those points. Absolutely. Okay. Keep zipping through here. Any chances of the Oinp draw happening? Good question, my friend. Good question. I'm doing good, Sabia. Okay. Yes. Nuri says, thank you, Mark. My eligibility is passed, waiting for criminality almost 10 months. Yes. And that's probably the reason. It is. I've seen these wait for a long time, depending upon the countries that you come from. And I think a lot of people, that's what they're starting to realize is that, if I'm coming from countries like Iraq, Iran, well, it just, those security checks are taking a long, long time. Okay. Okay, Jode says here, processing time is over, but still medical is not through. Can I raise GCMS? What is medical expires? PC expires what? Well, if your documents expire and you're already into the system, you're not going to be rejected if you've already filed your EAPR. Documents that expire, when it comes time for landing, immigration can come back to you and have you obtain updated medicals and updated police certificates. That's how they deal with it. Okay, and we're just keeping through. Remember, if you're asking questions that are about, well, let me just see here. So we'll pull up Gurpreet here. How can I get a job offer? Not something I can cover, my friend. When it comes to job offers in Canada, that's an entire separate world. And what we're dealing with here is immigration related stuff. The job offers are Canadian companies who are looking to hire someone internationally. And during the pandemic, I can tell you there are very few that are actually looking to do that. So if you have someone overseas, an overseas agent or someone peddling job offers, please do not trust them. More often than not, if they're charging you for that job offer, it is a scam. Okay. Genuine Canadian employers know that they have to pay the costs of recruitment. That includes the costs of the recruiter who's bringing you over. And so if someone's charging you, understand that that is illegal and they are just trying to scam you. Okay, this one says, hey, Mark, I'm waiting for an answer. 7 months from AOR. Work permit expiring July. When should I apply to renew the work permit? The Bridging Open work permit is eligible 4 months within 4 months of expiry. So the moment you cross over into 4 months left on, or less than 4 months left, that's when you apply for your Bridging Open work permit. When it comes to the restrictions, so Isab says here, under which circumstances are there exemptions to the current travel restrictions for COPR holders? Understand those restrictions are extremely limited. And to the most part, they're restricted to US. If you're living in the US, there are abilities. If your COPR has been issued after March 18th of last year, there are no exemptions unless, and this is a whole different discussion, unless there's another exemption that you can fit under, like a family member in Canada. But that's where I'll tell you, I'll ring the bell and I'll say, go over here, book a consult with our firm, and we can take a look and see if any of those restrictions are applicable. Okay. And even on our site, our blogs that we've written, one, we've specifically addressed, or we talked about travel restrictions and things like that we released last year, March the 30th. And it's hard to believe that it's been a year since we wrote that last blog. It's just crazy. Like when I think about the time that has passed with this stupid virus, I think we're all so fed up with it, aren't we? We just want it to end. I want it to end just as much as all of you so that life can go back to normal. You know, over Christmas, I just about couldn't spend Christmas with my mother, who's a widow. She's been widowed for so many years. I support her. I help her financially. I take care of her. She has her own little place. And there was a stretch there right before Christmas where it was almost looking like I couldn't have her over for Christmas dinner or go to her home. Fortunately, the province of Alberta and Alberta Health lifted that restriction, which allowed us to do that. But wow, you know, but I understand the restrictions and I understand the need to keep everyone safe. And it makes sense. And I fully abide by it. But it doesn't mean that we all can't be just a little bit fed up with the whole situation. However, I'm trying to stay positive. Let's all try to stay positive. Okay. There's my little rant for the day. Okay. Continuing down here. Okay, let's see here. And remember, if you start to ask questions that are very, very specific, that only relate to you and don't relate to everyone else, I'm probably going to ring the bell. And if I've answered one question, I'm probably going to skip you to make sure that I can get to others. So I'm trying to find ways to answer as many questions as I can. Okay, let's see here. Lots of you guys have multiplied your questions. So, okay, Sean, good to see you. Amit, good to see you. Usman, good to see you. Okay. Okay, this one here, Justin. Yes, the biometric instruction letter. Do we have to raise a web form for an expired one? Yes. Yeah, send them, let them know that you weren't. I always do that before it expires. So this is one of the challenges, Justin, is I don't know really at what stage you're at. And so like they understand in many cases, you know, they have a pretty good idea of the places where, you know, the biometric collection centers are closed, like the VFS offices where they collect them. But sometimes they issue a request and then you're not able to do it before it expires. The key is to do it before it expires. You notify them saying, I'm not going to be able to get it. And then you request an extension of time. That's how you deal with it. If you have, if it's already passed, Justin, then you need to reach out to them immediately and let them know that you weren't able to do it. Okay. Jimmy, average processing time for Oinp Express entry. I don't actually know that. I don't. The processing times have been all over the map and there is no consistency and hasn't really been since the spring of 2020. So the processing times with the provinces are all over the map. Okay, here's a good question from George. My postgrad was issued for 15 months only because my passport was not valid. It expires August 3rd. Can I apply online under the new public policy or by mail only? If your original postgrad work permit was only issued for 15 months because your passport was not valid, you don't need to benefit from the policy that they've issued or announced to extend your work permit, extend the postgrad work permits that are expiring. You, George, can just apply to get an extension on your postgrad for the balance of the time that you originally should have been awarded, those 3 years. So you don't need to rely on the pilot program. And for those of you who are wondering, those of you who are inside Canada, I'm sure everybody's aware of it now. Because of the pandemic, lots of people in Canada, especially you international students who were doing everything you could, doing everything right, faced a situation where you were laid off and you needed that work experience to get enough to claim under the Canadian Experience class. Well, if you're laid off, you couldn't claim it. And so over the last year, I advocated for you guys specifically in my meetings with immigration. And you guys know that I'm the national chair of the Canadian Bar Association's immigration section. So I have regular meetings with all the government departments. I have another big meeting coming up, our semi-annual one. I've met with the immigration minister, Minister Mendicino, his staff, and we've done a whole bunch of things to advocate for people just like you. And one of the wonderful announcements that happened just recently, and I'm going to do a blog post on it, wow. I'm going to do a video on it because that's what you guys like, to talk about it a little bit more. But if your postgrad work permit is expiring, you actually have the ability to extend it for another 18 months, which is, you tell me what country does that. And that's why I love my country. And I'm going to give my own country a big cheer, because this is designed to help all those international students on postgrad work permits. And give me a thumbs up if you agree, because I think this is pretty amazing what the government just did. They had a lot of options, and this is the one that they chose. And I think it's a great, great decision. All right, jumping back here. Okay. Let's see. Amit, good to see you. I do look a bit tired today because I've been up late, as always, trying to stay on top of all of the day-to-day files and understand everybody is important to me. And if someone retains our firm right here, books a consult, and retains Holthe Immigration Law, I can tell you that you are priority number one. And in fact, when I am, and I guess we need to update this because the cart's closed, but when people retain me to go through our new approach, which I've been just absolutely love, we truly believe in this, client-centered, firm-supported. And so you can come here, you can watch the video all about our collaborative review process, how we represent our clients, which is really unique and really new. And we feel it is the absolute best way of doing it. But this isn't something that scales. It's not something that I, Mark Holthe, as a Canadian immigration lawyer right here, it is not something that I have the ability to really scale. So it's not like I hire a bunch of assistants and paralegals to work with all the clients that hire our firm. No, you work directly with immigration lawyers in our firm. And our collaborative process allows you DIYers at heart to get the benefit of being able to manage your own file with all of the support, all of the knowledge, all of the experience of us as immigration lawyers working directly with you. And we use video screen sharing. We use Teams, we use Zoom, we use Skype, whatever works for you. And we have all of, well, you can learn more about it right here in our, in the actual videos that I've produced for this. So go check it out, but that's really what it comes down to. And so because of that, when I have clients that come in, if you're looking to book a consult even with me, if I have a client who wants something reviewed, that client actually can take the spot where I have consults scheduled. So sometimes if you are unable to get a new consult with me particularly, it's because I'm meeting with existing clients, because they are my first priority. Once you hire a firm and pay us, then you are the priority, not bringing in new people. Although new people, you're just as important. But when it comes to scheduling, you might have to wait a little bit if you can't get into me right now. But that's why I have other lawyers too. That's why I have Alicia and Susan. They're there so that you can go in, you can book your consult and get right into representation. And the best part, guys, is that when you book that consult with us and myself as a Canadian immigration lawyer, the fees that you pay for the consult are credited towards the flat fee that you pay when you retain us to do the collaborative review with you. All right. So just thought I'd let you guys know about that, because that is why I'm tired, because sometimes I have to work a little bit later to get to make it fit for everyone. Okay. All right. Zipping through here. And as far as Assad says, what are your charges? Go to the website. They're all there. You can see what our charges are. They're all on the website. And if you have any questions, you can also, well, just the site has all the answers there. Okay. Hello, Pooja. Hello, Estani. Okay. Okay, Seb says, hey, can you explain how the extended couple's long-term relationship law for immigration visits works? It was recently passed and I don't quite understand it. This one right here, my friend, is really a consult. I recommend that you book a consultation so that we can go through it. It is a mess. That is a hot mess. That's the only way I can describe it. And there's a reason you can't understand it, because it is the website does a horrible job of explaining it. So I'm going to click that bell, go over, book a consult, and we can go through it in detail. Duran, correspondence, doesn't matter. If the Educational Credential Assessment Agency accepts your education and you can get that credential, then you can claim it for express entry, whether it's the FSW or the CEC. Stock market portfolio typically is not good. Excuse me, because if you're using that as proof of funds, in 6 months, your portfolio could completely dive. Immigration doesn't like that. They want to know that the funds are available, they're locked in, and that there's not going to be a fluctuation. So in those circumstances, no, I never ever include that. Yeah, and so Navdeep, I'll pull yours up here. Obviously, for students international, COVID is affecting everything. So it's not surprising that the final decision is delayed. That is so common. Shilp, good to see you. Hello, hello. Okay, so Amar says, hey, hope you're doing well. I am from India. Can I claim, and I'm going to get another drink here. This is what happens when you're going 2 full hours straight. And we are just about at the end of this one here. I am Amar from India. Can I claim just the current 1.5 years of work experience, even though I have 3 years of foreign past work experience? Yes, you can claim whatever you want to, but make sure you put everything in the personal history if it's within the last 10 years. Okay. That's a good question, Usman. So you've basically taken your LOEs, and there's an LOE for your accompanying spouse and an LOE for you, but there's only one spot for the LOE. Yep, you bundle them together. In my my step-by-step course, I actually have sample templates and very clear instructions on how to do the LOEs that I truly believe are the best way to ensure that the officer is understanding what you're trying to explain to them. But yeah, in your situation, that's what you do. You upload them both into the same section. All right, let's see how we're doing here. 2 minutes left. Okay. Let's see what we have. We've got a bunch of people that are kind of stuck, and I understand your situations. Ultimately, when you have, and I'm probably going to end right there, guys. One of the reasons why, I do this is to try to help as many people as I possibly can. And the reality is, in these live Q&As, you can see I do my best to try to explain, but there's only so far I can go. And that is the whole reason why I transitioned my do-it-yourself guide. So the guide I used to sell, like I said, as a standalone component. And then I realized that people sometimes just need a little bit more help. Right now, when you book a consult with me, I charge $300 Canadian plus tax. So I guess it's $315 or something. For that consultation. And in there, I can dive deep in and answer your questions, all the questions that you have related to your problem. And so I encourage you, if you're stuck and you genuinely need a little bit of help, that short little consult can clear up a ton of things for you and help you to avoid those problem areas, those areas of uncertainty that if you are uncertain, the officer will be as well. So that's why we have the consults, and I do a ton of them and I love them. There's a link below where you can click to book a consult. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Now, obviously you guys can see that I didn't get through a ton of the questions that were being posted. And that's unfortunately just a part and parcel with this. I can't get to everyone's, so I apologize for that, but you do the very best that you can. Make sure that you go over to the Canadian Immigration Institute website right here. Let's see if I can find it right here, and I'll back up. Go here to the Canadian Immigration Institute and go to Express Entry, step-by-step course, click on Learn More. And right here is where you will have the ability to register. Click on the register now, leave your name and your email, and then you can be put in the queue to be notified first, because I take 100 people. And once I have 100 people max, it's full. And I did not hit 100 people for this first course. And I'm actually really glad, because there's a little bit of things that I'm working out as I go through it. And so the people that are in there are actually getting even more direct attention from me than ever before. But the reality is, with what we're doing here in the lives on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, this is all designed to try to help as many people as I can. And when I answer one person's question, it just might be your question that you had as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure once again. And I will see you next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Same time, same place, right here in the various Canadian Immigration Institute channels. All right, guys, see you later, and we will talk to you again soon.